I'm a pretty funny person.
Well, yeah, let's see about that, lady. So, you are the November Innovative Impact Award winner. And basically, what that means is you've discovered a niche, you've discovered a market and a demographic, you discovered a need, and you figured out a solution, right? And with that solution is impact. And sometimes impact, it could be in volunteering space, it could be a space that you ultimately can monetize. And sometimes it begins on kind of, hey, we really just want to help out, to then all of a sudden we created such a scalable model that now, right, and people believe in it, there's a mission behind it, and now we're figuring out how to make some money doing it. So, Innovative Impact Award winner, My Connect Sports, you are November.
I'll take it. November is a good month to be recognized. So people are getting in a giving mood. They see you pop up, boom. They remember that email you sent them, that follow up. Because a lot of the impact that I've made has been through being consistent in the space. Basketball. I'm a Georgia Tech season ticket holder. The last 4 years, I have not missed a game since they've been in the state of Georgia. And I show up and I have a good time. They're a great team. So yes, November is a great month. And I use it as a great opportunity to entertain my friends, my partners, leads, people who can make connections. You know, not often do people say they were sitting courtside at a game, right? You know, so I provide that experience and really try to use women's sports. Everybody's talking about investing in, you know, women and giving them more awareness, and I put my money where my mouth is, and I bring people along with me, and they remember me for it.
Let's talk about how it started for you. I know you were military. What led you to kind of this point in your life? What was that moment of where you went to college, how that transformed you, military, all those things?
At 18 years old, I was stationed in Bitburg, Germany, calling my mom from a payphone because that's the only way you could reach. When I got Vonage, it was a big deal. And I signed up to be a volunteer coach, and I really dove into volunteerism on base. I was base volunteer airman of the year. And it really caught the attention of people who could help me pursue whatever it is I was trying to do. Even at 18, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but people gave me a platform and they listened to what I wanted to do. And the base commander, he's an Air Force Academy grad, and his daughter was on my JV team, and she thought she was going to be captain, and that's not how this works. And he was impressed, and he recommended me for a program that really changed my life. And my mom was so excited because I was like 2 weeks from going to Qatar. So it was, she was like, oh, okay, great. You're going to Colorado instead. Perfect. So at 18, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I liked helping people. I was a dorm council president. I was really out there serving people in my community. And I got success. I did fundraisers for Hurricane Katrina. So that's at 18 years old, right? Like, I knew if I had gone to college, Valdosta State or something, I was getting kicked out in one semester.
So then you went to U.S. Air Force Academy?
Yes. And, you know, after being enlisted and going into that environment and having now I'm 20, I've already been drinking since I was 17, since I went over there. Now I come back, I can't drink. Oh my gosh. And I also have like 18-year-olds trying to tell me this is how it's going to be when you're enlisted. They haven't even done it. But I played basketball at the prep school. I got to the academy and really, again, served. I mean, as a dually, you're serving seniors and upperclassmen all day. So it's all still about serving. Really, after leaving the academy, just said yes to opportunities for people. And my teammate, Pam Finley, she was coaching. She got a job at Bemidji State, Minnesota. And she said, hey, do you want to come up here? And I'm doing this coaching thing. And I had my VA benefits. My dad has passed, so I hadn't really been doing anything but coaching. I was coaching high school basketball and softball in Forsyth County. And I said, sure. And I took my benefits and moved to Bemidji State. Did all the right things, made all the right connections. Anytime I come home to Georgia, I would work girls basketball tournaments with Brandon Clay. And there was never really a role description. It was like, sit at the desk, collect money from the coaches, give them the coach's book. If they need to know a name of somebody, go find the name. Who's the mom? Who's the uncle? really building those relationships. Oh, you need lunch? Let me get you that lunch. What do you need? You thirsty?
Huh.
Before you're even thirsty, let me bring you this drink.
Yeah.
And so again, really made an impression. And Tasha Butts, she's the reason why I'm a Georgia Tech season ticket holder. She saw me. She was at UCLA at the time. And I impressed her. And she made some introductions to the Tennessee women's basketball staff, continued the relationship, and said, hey, I have benefits. I don't even need any money. I'm thinking about getting my master's. Would love to just sit in the office when I can if you need any help. They're like, okay, if that's what you want to do, we already have a GA, blah, blah, blah. 2 months later, Holly Warlick calls me and says, hey, our GA just took a job. Do you want to have this GA job? And here I am. And that's where I really learned about serving people. And from Pat Summitt, like she really embodied people first, and all that she did, and including winning 8 national championships, you know, so
That helped.
That helped too. That helped. So being able to see the intention that she had on making people feel at any point she was giving them their full attention and being present with them. And I was always the bad guy that had to be like, okay, we got to go. When we were at an arena, like, okay, this is the last one. Okay, no. But she had to sign every basketball at camp, right? Like we would have thousands of kids. This is when camp was like the thing. There was it's not that long ago, but there was still people went to camp and blew it out. And she would sign everybody. I've met so many people along my journey that have a signed basketball camp from Pat Summitt.
When people ask me, how do I get in the sports industry? And I say, volunteer, right? Volunteer. Look what you volunteered and that was your end. Yeah.
And I mean, and I know now, you know, you got to get paid and all this stuff. And I'm not saying, look, not everybody had VA benefits. Right. I'm going to Bemidji State because I knew I was going to get a stipend. My tuition was going to get paid for. I'm not moving to Bemidji if I'm paying out of pocket. I was able to live. Right. When I volunteered to be an intern for a AAU team. This was before, again, NIL and these things were happening. I was a volunteer intern. I made up a role. I said, hey, it was Antonio Davis and his wife. They had a 7th grade girls basketball team. And I was like, hey, I'll just I know you got a lot of coaches recruited. I'd love to make the digital information so the contact information is up to date, school visits, you know, keep coaches up to date. And they're like, okay, girl, that's what you want to do. And on that team was Diamond Shields. She has a WNBA championship. Christina Nelson from Notre Dame. She has a national championship. Kayla Davis, she has a national championship. And those kids are their parents are famous. And those famous parents really appreciate people investing and actually caring about those kids.
Talk about your current project. How did what's your focus in it, and what impact are you making in the lives of these student athletes?
One thing when you were the fabulous intro about innovation and what that means is one thing I always say is you don't have to build a school in Africa to make a difference. Sometimes it's about sending an email to make an introduction or inviting somebody to an event with you. So Work is a talent acquisition firm that kind of takes the community efforts and historically underrepresented pipelines of talent and provides companies in sports media entertainment extend their opportunities outside to untapped networks. And most organizations don't have those resources to have somebody dedicated to maybe committing energy into finding other pools of talent. That takes resources, that takes time, that takes money. Work is really trying to provide us a simple solution, hopefully seen by others, to really engage talent. And there's some work you got to do in-house too. I'm not one solution stop by any means. And I think that's very important to say. I'm not going to come in and wave a magic wand and fix all your problems. No one should really be able to say they can do that. But I'm also a resource as you're continuing that journey. Or you're looking for a culture coach for a presentation. You know, I'm someone that I'm a speaker. I like to encourage and highlight other speakers in my networks and other thought leaders and give them opportunities. Because if I eat, everybody eats. I always say, if you make room for me at the table, you better make more room because I'm bringing folks with me.
Yeah, talk about your time at ESPN.
Yeah, ESPN I knew I didn't want to coach after being at Tennessee. That lifestyle, striving to be the Coach K's, the Pat Summitts. That's very rare right now. If you don't win in 3 years, you're out of there. Or as a coach, you're chasing the next big check. I knew I didn't want to coach, and Pat had stepped down, and Holly Warlick is coming in, and she brought a new director of operations from football. And he was at Ole Miss, and he was coming in at a camp time, and he saw me doing my thing. And we got to talking about bowl games and all that stuff. And I knew about bowl games, but I didn't know there was a business side of bowl games. He was like, let me make some introductions to you. I said yes. And I ended up in an office in Charlotte. Most people don't know. This was before we just had ESPNU. We didn't have ACC Network. We didn't have SEC Network. But I spent 5 years managing some of their 41 at the time properties. So I spent a lot of time with the MEAC SWAC Challenge, the Celebration Bowl, launching that here in Atlanta. So I came in with the perspective of having spent time with the players and the coaching staff in building and maintaining those relationships and providing an experience again. Right. So at the MEAC SWAC Challenge, instead of backpacks, they get backpacks. They get a football player probably gets 4 to 6 backpacks in their 1 year. So I said, let's give them haircuts. Let's get some local barbers to set up in the hotel and give these guys haircuts. You're not going to see them on TV, but when they'll take it off, they'll feel good. They'll play good. A lot of times this is their first time on ESPN at the time. So let's create that experience instead of filling in a backpack full of things to show other people's logos. I was an adjunct professor, and I couldn't believe I was doing all these things. But I noticed a lot of my students, upperclassmen, they were 4 years behind the same kids I knew at Tennessee that were in the athletic department interning since they were freshmen, because they didn't have that many experiences. So I was at ESPN. We were doing ACC Media Day all the time in the office, and I would see the same kind of kid. You know what I'm talking about, Rob? I'm not going to say it. Where do you get these kids? How do you get these kids? Who knows about this? So I said, let's start promoting it to some other schools. Let's see what happens, right? And so Maria and I really use those platforms to create opportunities, because you say you want a student athlete, or a certain type of talent from a community, and you know they can't do a 6-month internship. So how are you engaging with that talent is the innovative part of what work is doing. It's not just about, okay, I'm going to put you in a newsletter and send it to these people, and they're going to open it and they're going to apply because they see your logo and they want to do it. They may not even know what that job is. They don't even have some communities may have the skills. They went to MIT and all that, but they didn't know they could do this at Buzzer. Right? There's an opportunity to do that here. And I think, work is really a resource and a partner in this work to change the workforce that we see, because people are demanding it. It's the right thing to do. The business case, it does all the things, but it's not going to be overnight. It's going to take some effort, and it's going to take some work.
Well, congratulations on getting it this far. You've had an incredible career, incredible journey. And by the way, I did give up my backpack for my haircut this morning. So it's the little things. You're just beginning. Anybody that's going to go in to Pat Summitt and volunteer and say, I just want to be here. I'm willing to do anything, to be here. And the world will take care of you because of it, right? When you lead with sympathy, when you lead with serving others, right? Always, 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 it comes back to you. It always does. There's no way around that.
Do the rewind thing and then take it back to that. And it's like, no, it hasn't been easy. And I know that I'm educated enough to know the differences in the resources that were provided to me now and before. And that almost frustrates me, but at the same time excites me, because having conversations with you and extending my network to resources that can really continue this work is what's important to me. I really enjoyed this conversation today, Rob. I think what you're doing in creating this platform and highlighting innovators like myself is much needed. If we are all together, we know it's collectively good for all of us, right? And the work that you're doing is necessary. So I appreciate the time today.
Someone made an impact on our life, right? Whether it was our parents or teachers or coaches, And now it's just our turn to give back and help other people. As corny as that may sound sometimes, but it's so true.
Well, I have to now shout out my mom, because when I left ESPN to do the nonprofit full time, she let me move back home. So I got to shout out to my mom, because not everybody has that resource either. And I know that's
about parents. They don't give up on their kids, right?
No.
You know, you never stop being a parent. And I have 4, you know, and I'm still trying to get rid of 2, but that's okay.
I made you laugh. Okay, I hope I made you gotta watch the tape and tell me if I made you laugh.
You put my name. Yeah, you put my name on the board. That's it. That's Corinne. I'm Rob. You're watching My Connect Sports. Thanks, everybody. See you later. Take care. Well, I thought you were a magician, that you could wave your magic wand and put art behind me on my wall. Wait a minute, Corinne Milien, like millionaire.
Like $1 million, 1 in a million.